What's up, Lotta Dada, everybody? Como está tu? How are you? Como está? That means, how are you in 3 languages? English, Spanish, Irish. Not necessarily in that order. Okay, I want to come on today just to talk to you a little bit more about the theme of this channel, which is music and poetry for health and healing. I haven't heard any public service announcements or anyone talk at all, actually, not even unofficially, about how music and poetry can help fight off this virus that shut the whole world down. Western medicine, just too much of it. We need indigenous culture, Native American culture. Native Americans would dance and do poetry. Well, storytelling. But the music and the dancing, you see, 20 years ago, I used to tell people that if you study people's brains before and after going to church, where people were dancing and singing a lot, then you could actually see a change. I predicted, because I wasn't a scientist then, I'm not one now. But I'm a poet, I'm an artist, I have some wisdom. I would say, hey, you can check out people's brainwaves, I bet you they would have changed. And lo and behold, since I first started talking about that 20 years ago, some scientists have done studies, and check it out on the net. It wouldn't take too many searches until you found the study backing up what I've been saying. Music and dance helps with getting endorphins going on, okay? And also, I'm not a comedian, or maybe I am, involuntarily, because I'm kind of like a joke to a lot of people, to myself even. But laughter is also good for the immune system. Music, singing, dancing, laughing is important for the immune system. The best thing you can have to fight off any virus is a good attitude. And if you're really depressed and you got the blues, you need not to go around other people, because you're more susceptible then. Vax or no vax, you're more susceptible to getting a virus if you're down and depressed. Okay? And how do we lift ourselves up naturally? People have been using music and dancing for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years, okay? It's so natural. And here in America, people have been weekly getting together and doing music and dancing, and it's not like a club where you have to dress a certain way to get into the club, and people pick and choose who gets to come into the club for a while, and you have to wait in line. No, from 2 to 82 Airborne, everybody was dancing. And Jewish culture has Shabbat. At the end of the work week, you sing and you dance, and you get out all that frustration, and the next day you have the Sabbath, and you have a day off. And if you're a Christian, remember Jesus was Jewish, so he had Shabbat. So it's really important. At the end of the work week, that night, Friday night, you sing and you dance, and the next day is your Sabbath. That's how Jesus did it. If you're a Christian, that means you follow Jesus, you follow Christ, that's what you do. But anyway, even if you're not a Christian, or you're not Jewish, it's still good for health and wellness to sing and to dance. David was a shepherd boy that played the guitar, he played the harp to heal the king at the time. He was just a shepherd boy before he became a king himself, and he was just a shepherd boy herding sheep around. He used to play the harp, and he did poetry. if you read the Old Testament of the Bible, which is the same as the Jewish scriptures, the Hebrew scriptures, you read the Psalms of David. The poetry I do every day, I read the poetry of his son, King Solomon, every day. I'm in the Proverbs Club. Every day I study a proverb. So, whether you're religious or not, you can still gain from that poetry that has wisdom in it. Okay, so more music will be coming up, but that's the theme of this channel, is using music and poetry for health and wellness. I'd like to do what I did in the Army, and I helped warriors as a chaplain, assistant chaplain, chapel guard. And I would like to get some people behind the idea of getting first responders involved with music and poetry for health and healing, so they can deal with post-traumatic stress and start dealing with post-traumatic stress before they even get it. One day I would like to see people in basic training going to the military learn more about having a mental health toolbox with different tools to use to deal with stress, and using music, poetry, some training and basic training about how to use music, poetry, and dance for mental and emotional wellness. And I'd like to help firefighters and police officers and ambulance drivers, paramedics with music and poetry for health and healing, and to get a good fortitude, good armor up, so they can deal with the very stressful situations they have to deal with and not even get as much PTSD as me and some other combat veterans have gotten. Okay, I've had PTSD. My sister and I, she's spying on me. It's on record how I got my benefits finally. I talked about how my sister and I were in the back of a car driven by a drunk praying for her life. Night after night after night. That gives you PTSD when you're afraid for your life. When you grow up and you're in more dangerous situations like military combat, it gets worse and it compounds. So having a practice of regularly using music and singing and dance like the Hebrew culture has with Shabbat, that's very beneficial. Okay, and so one study I know of says at least that the Hebrew culture is the best at dealing with post-traumatic stress of all the cultures of the world. So even if you're not religious, just doing what Hebrew people do is actually good for health and wellness. Okay, so more music and poetry will be coming up. I want to take some time for this episode to talk about that theme for the channel. I also would like to bring artists and musicians and poets into some situations like hospitals or retirement homes to share music and poetry, and even work if you have to have a lockdown. I'd like to see a situation where if you wanted to visit your mother or your father and they had COVID and you were allowed to see them, and you at least maybe could ask someone to share a song or a poem with them. Okay? Alright, thank you.